Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be motivated by your host, Reverend John Wheeler! Now shut up! You shut up! Sit down! Shut up! Shut up!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, people of the jury, executioners, Judge Judy and executioner. Today, my normal co-host is not with me, our friend Meredith, and instead, the person who's usually behind the curtain in the massage chair, giggling in a way that you cannot hear, is my lovely wife, Alexis Wheeler. Not Reverend Alexis Wheeler, though. She has not yet gained that distinction. You don't automatically get that just because you get married. You get my last name, which is pretty important.
It's okay. They just call me Witchy Wheeler.
They call you Witchy Wheeler? Who the hell are they?
No one. I have no friends.
Yeah, I thought you meant like people at your scary, gross heart job. They
probably
like,
call me worse things.
Hello, Witchy Wheeler.
No, they call me worse
Is that you? Like Bitchy Wheeler? Do you get accused of committing acts of bitchcraft? I feel like there was another podcast where we were already verbatim going over the old Phil Hartman, Mike Myers Saturday Night Live thing. Where
I think it was like your last.
It was probably the last one.
When I made you a CBD joint. I'm good at those.
You are. You do roll quite the fatty. Yeah, because it was all out of these things. And as a matter of fact, when I went to like the scary, gross ghetto tobacco store in Brooklyn Park that I usually go to, not as close to Figgles' house as the other place I go for weird,
would you say,
quasi-legal drugs.
I said, would you say?
Yeah, but there's a place called Royal Tobacco and there's probably a lot of places called that out there, that sell these CBD cigarettes, and this was literally like the last package of them that they had.
They really should have a place called Wacky Tobacco. They
really should.
They should.
Like at this point, there's so much. But this new camera really picks up the smoke actually like really well. Alexa's got me a Logitech. Whatever, when you go on YouTube and everybody goes, what's the best cheap streaming game camera you can get? Because the only reason to be on the internet is to show people that you can play video games.
Or your boobs.
Yeah, and then if you have also boobs when you stream video games, you'll get, instead of 0 people watching you, like 5. And you'll always be advertising that. Not that I get that many people, but I'm a little bit proud that I get viewers.
Look it.
What? Your butterfly sits on your tits?
No, what? He's flapping.
Oh, there he goes.
Aww.
Hey, everybody, check out my wife's rack, huh? You like that?
Bobbity.
Bobbity boo.
This is just proving that I'm your wife.
Yeah, well, I don't know that anyone was really ever questioning that, but...
No, but how we act.
Yeah, and it's fun. A good Italian racist joke always... You're being racist towards other white people, and no one gives a fuck.
I'm not even Italian.
No, you're not even, despite what the washed out camera tells the audience,
I'm see-through.
Yeah. You're like not really white though, because your father is from Portugal.
Yeah. Well,
and he is
my brother got the dark.
Yeah.
I did not.
Your brother got all of the cool foreign, person of color points, and then you just have to be like called a white person by lunatics all the time.
Fuckers.
Be like, my wife is not white. I mean, she is, but
see-through.
Yeah,
on the surface.
She's transparent. What you're seeing there is all bone. That's just skull material that's shining through her transparent flesh because she is some sort of Portuguese jellyfish creature.
It's a good Jack Skellington with like the contour. What?
Yeah, this was like a TikTok makeup tutorial about putting Jack Skellington teeth on the side of your face. You'd be killing it. But it's good that I do have, speaking of Jack Skellington and of my gothic child bride here.
I don't dye my hair anymore.
Oh, is that because you think people can see a couple of gray hairs on camera think that you're somehow older than 28 years old? Because
I used to look more gothic with dyed hair.
Well,
But
yeah.
no,
So,
I'm
by the way,
getting a white stripe in here somewhere.
so did I.
Where is it?
Like, this is my real hair color that I was always dyeing.
There, I'm getting a white stripe.
Yeah, you're like whenever there's
I'm working on it.
a lady president in the future in like an X-Men timeline, like they have the cool white streaks in their hair.
Yeah.
Like, Madam President, what do we do about the mutant problem? And she's like, mutant problem? Because maybe she's like the cool president because she's a lady.
And she says, fuck them all.
Well, yeah, and then it probably turns out she's evil. I don't know who the future X-Men lady
sexy.
president really is. I just remember that it was like a thing in the cartoon whenever they'd go into the future. And I don't know how accurate that was to the comic book. And I don't know how accurate that comic book was to real life. But I'm guessing it's
Did
close.
you ask the mutants? Like, how they were portrayed in the movies and comic book?
Well, the one at Home Depot earlier didn't seem to want to talk about it, so... Oh, wait, you said mutant? I guess it's not. No, that is, maybe. If you have a slightly weird amount of chromosomes, I'm sure that's a mutation. Oh, boy.
My
I smoked
eyes
that.
are the same color as this pickle martini.
Yeah, that's what I make them for you.
I just doused it in my eyeball. Ah!
By the way, I'm enjoying my standard olive martini that I didn't make dirty, but I used I used Tanqueray, which is a much hairier gin.
It's good with this, with my pickle.
Yeah. Well, that's good, except for I made yours with vodka because I wanted yours to be crisper. No, this wouldn't have sat as well with that. See,
Sip of yours?
yes, I'll set it down. One thing Alexis and I love to work on together is see, you can really taste the juniper, which
You can really taste the pine needles.
yeah, which is the we have several snakes, as I think has been discussed on here a couple of times randomly.
Your name is
Well, now we have 4. We got. I slowly discovered, though, it is a nice variety, and hognoses are kind of still rare with people, and they're really neat, and they're only getting more expensive. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we got in on that one back when she didn't cost all that much. But our hognose snake had to get shipped from, I believe, Idaho. But anyway, a lot of people who
potato.
she's a potato lady. A lot of people that have sort of a slight snake collection, but are somewhat inclined to being in the they have more than one. Everyone's pretty much like, I have a cord snake, I have a hognose, and I have a ball python, which is what we had. We had the 3 that you can handle. Mm-hmm. Ball pythons are like hognoses are a little unusual, but once you kind of get used to their personalities, they're really easy to take care of. Ball pythons can be like a little finicky, but if you keep their humidity and everything right, they're usually fine. And corn snakes are like the easiest thing in the world to take care of. So people have those. We ventured into the world of getting a boa constrictor, which is the kind of thing that your average, you get like guys in their early 20s that smoke a lot of weed and have base things in their cars are like, I got a boa constrictor, and then they usually have to like rehome them. They don't get that they're a little bit more to deal with. They're kind of strong.
They are, if you are only used to the other ones that we have, they are a little harder to read, which was like the hardest part. Yeah,
they're, all snakes have these sort of cues that you have to kind of learn, because they're not the same as dogs, and they're not the same as people, and they're not the same as cats or orangutans. But here's the other thing. They're not even the same as each other's. Mm-hmm. Like the hognose, for instance, they make a lot of eye contact and tend to look at you and whatever, and it's not because they're about to attack you. Some breeds of snake, however, if they're actually like looking you right in the face, it means they're about to bite you right in the face. And you have to learn to figure out, okay, well, when this one does it, it's not good. When this one does it, it's actually fine.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. It's just the thing that you learn when you're the kind of person that, kind of keep snakes as pets. And they're one of my favorite pets because they're interesting and they're fun, but they eat and shit once a week or less. And I kind of love that about them because we, have...
Unless you're Persephone.
Unless you're Persephone?
She'll, do 2 shits a week.
Yeah, but it's in one... They're right next to each other in one day. For some reason, she kind of has that thing... it's like when you're a human, you take a poop and you kind of flush and wipe and get up, and then you're kind of 5 minutes later, you're like, oh, and then the rest of it comes out. I think that's what she goes through.
The price on
She's so like us.
Hognose girls actually have come down. Look at
I can't. What is it?
300, 250, 300.
Yeah, but I think when you found her, it was right when it was on its way up to that.
Yeah, and then now I think it's like coming down now.
Maybe a bit. Well, here's the other thing. The thing with snakes is their popularity is one part of it, but also how many different weird morphs, which is, when people breed them to look different and stuff. Like, these ones are purple or whatever. Like, these ones don't have the spots they do in nature. They're just black all the way around or something. Like, that stuff, the newest and coolest ones of those are usually crazy expensive, which means the ones that existed previously, like, oh, it looks like a normal one, but it's just albino or whatever, that gets cheaper. Like, that gets... Persephone, our hognose, is a...
Albino coffee belly.
Albino, yeah, her belly color is kind of interesting compared to the rest of her. Like, it's not just white or whatever. It is kind of a toffee. Well, isn't she something, too, with her spots are, like, a little further apart? I don't know, whatever.
Her. She's not a conda.
Yeah.
She's just albino.
Yeah. So...
Toffafe belly.
The Toffafe belly, yeah. There's so many references. Like, I gotta talk more about our new snake and a little bit about my friend Chris and Toffafe about my future work I'll be doing. But... yeah. So anyway, we adopted an already not fully grown, but not a baby, Nicaraguan boa constrictor that we named Juniper after the gin. And I love that we're good at naming snakes because everybody's like, her original name by her last people was Cookies and Cream because her belly kind of looks like that. And there's always like every single snake's name is like Ramen or like Noodle Boy or whatever, or like Cupcake or something. And I mean, that's cute.
Or
but
Puppy, which I like, but it's too common.
Yeah. But yeah, I like, her name's
Or
Juniper.
Stick. Just kidding.
Our ball python's name is Beluga, which is a really pretty name. And Lilu, after Lilu, Multipass, and Persephone. Princess Persephone Hogworm. Yeah. But anyway, it's been interesting because a boa constrictor is not a beginner snake. The other three are kind of like, yeah, you can kind of... And obviously we have a little bit of experience, but the interesting things about boa constrictors is that pound for pound, if you compare them to a ball python, they weigh like... They per the size, they weigh like twice as much because they're all fucking muscle. Like our ball python's even a little pudgy. We're kind of have her on a bit of a diet, but... Juniper is strong as shit and like weighs a ton. And, basically when we got her, we had sort of a leftover tank that was barely big enough for her, but she kind of had to be in there. Well, Alexis retrofitted this bigger one we bought from these people, but they left it kind of gross and we had to put new wheels on it and stuff. Like, it was kind of fucked up, but the price was right. But it had like 2 levels and bars and poles for her to hang off of, and boas. Yeah, she's arboreal, which means the stripper of the snake world.
Yeah,
and
I said stripper of the sea.
Stripper of the sea.
Makes sense.
But so yeah, she won't get as huge as like some boa constrictors. Nicaraguan boa constrictors are famously top out at like 5 or 6 feet or something like that. Like, they don't get crazy big.
Swallowed some of the pickle.
They're not like the
5 is like standard, but they can go to 7.
Yeah, something like that. But it's not like 10 or 11. Like, you'll see people with ones that are like, holy shit. But yeah, she's pretty chill, but the thing is that they're smart, so they know when things are kind of fucked up. So it's like, first she had to get over the fact that she suddenly had new people, was in a new thing, and then that thing was kind of a temporary thing. So, we'd taken her out and she was fine. But I got to experience my first boa, like, hiss at me. And the other snakes have never done this. Like, the hognose does, like, a little display. Like, they don't open their mouths or anything, but they'll kind of, like flatten out.
They do hiss, though.
They hiss. But it's like this quick, like,
yeah.
And you're like, oh, but, they're way smaller.
You've never heard a boa hiss before.
Well, and boa hisses...
heard of it from Meredith.
Yeah, Meredith explained from a much bigger one that an ex-boyfriend of hers had. But that their hiss sounds like they're one of the things from Aliens.
Yeah.
And I experienced firsthand because we had to take all of her furniture out and move it, and then we were going to grab hers, and I think it was upsetting her a little. She's like, okay, first I'm in this thing that's too small. Now you're taking all my hides and sticks out. And yeah, I tried to grab her, and it felt like she was glued to the floor. Like, they're strong enough where if they don't want to go, and she's still not even that big-ish, but... Like, I couldn't get her to move. And I was like, come on, Juniper, come on. And she did the full open mouth, slow predator alien, just like... at me. I was like, ah, like it's hilariously intimidating when they do that. You're like, okay, but she didn't try to bite me or anything. She was just telling me to fuck off, which is fine.
Lucky.
And then you had to talk to her, and she hissed at you too. But you coaxed her out more slowly. And then she's in her new house, and now she's happy as a clam.
Super happy.
We just fed her, and she's named after Jin, which I think was a point I didn't quite get around to completely.
You did say it.
Okay.
Because,
that's why it came up.
You said Juniper.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And I call her Junie Gabooni, or perhaps Junie Babooni.
Yeah, I just call her Junie June.
Yeah, it's a cute name for the snake. And
girls average 5 feet.
Okay.
But I think I did read something that they could go to 7, but they're considered a dwarf boa.
They're designed to not get as big.
As much easier to handle, significantly easier to house and care for.
Well, yeah, because when you think about how strong she is, and if you imagine one of those things being
get her out of
12 feet long, and just in the exact same type of animal, but that is twice as long, deciding that it does not want to cooperate with you, like that would be a wrestling match.
Then,
like that's
get in your face.
Yeah, like if they got angry with you, like yeah. So it is kind of interesting, the experience of handling one that's generally on the small side and will stay on the smaller side. But you can imagine when people have huge boa constrictors and they actually have to like if they get a grumpy one, like how much trouble that would actually be to kind of try to handle. I think that's rather.
I just definitely think like it's it takes more time / is more of a challenge with the bigger snakes because they are smarter.
Yes.
And so like trying to figure out what she's telling us. Like, come on, what are you saying, girl? Is last seen a well? Where did you poop the rat out? Like,
yeah.
It does take a little bit more to be like, okay, is she actually upset? Is she just really stressed out? Like, what can we do? Whereas Lilu is a doofus who's just
that's the corn snake. Yeah, and Lilu is also the friendly. Like, if she comes up in your face, she just gives you kisses. Like, it's weird dealing with some. Lilu is a funny case because a snake, let alone any reptile, being that affectionate, flies in the face of what common knowledge and people will tell you. And it's like, I don't know. She's kind of a cuddle bug. I don't know if it's just warmth. I think she's
my emotional support noodle.
Yeah, she kind of really is, and it's super interesting. Yeah. And let's see. What should...
I'm looking up what Snake Discovery has for sale.
But the other side note I wanted to get to before I talk about it, I think this is going to be the Halloween episode, which snakes are spooky, but they're not. They're just friendly pets, and for the most part, they're not even that scary because in North America, even the idea of running into even a venomous snake is fairly unusual. There's not
we have
there's some
eastern hognoses, and then we have timber rattlesnakes.
But western hognoses live in the United States, too.
Yeah, but in Minnesota.
Oh, in Minnesota. Oh, yeah. But eastern hognose is never going to bite you. A timber rattlesnake is probably the most dangerous thing we have in Minnesota. But, the other thing is rattlesnakes kind of have your back because they warn you. Like, they literally have that rattle so that they don't have to bite you. Because, again, animals with venom would rather not bite you.
Mm-hmm. They're more scared of you than
it's just to keep you like away, but they don't want to have to do that because it is metabolically expensive to generate venom, and to use it all up on something they're not trying to eat is like a waste for them. Plus, they can bite you, and then while they're biting you, you could kill them. And then it's like, well, you might get sick later, but that doesn't do them any good.
What's this word?
Animals do not have vengeance. Massassauga? The eastern Massassauga.
This is another venomous snake.
Cool.
It said right here.
Oh, you're on the Minnesota and like DNR.
Yeah, it says of 17 snake species in the state, only 2 are venomous, which they do not include the
eastern hognose.
Yeah, so
well, they barely should though, because they're not gonna bite you.
Snake and the eastern
Massassauga.
Massassauga.
That actually saying it out loud now.
They're only found in southeastern in the southeastern country and are rarely encountered.
Oh, so by that weird South Dakota part of like everything?
Yeah, so it's
where you find all those weird mansions in the middle of nowhere for like $200,000.
So the other thing is what John was saying about rattlesnakes and how they're actually giving us a warning. We're actually fucking them up. We are wrecking their, I guess, like their evolution's working out for them, but now they're evolving to learn to not rattle because it gets them killed.
Yeah, because someone's like, oh, a rattlesnake, go over there and shoot it, Cletus.
Yep.
And you're not supposed to do that because they're there to serve a purpose like everything else. It'd be like killing a bat or something and being like, hey, well, what, do you love mosquitoes all of a sudden?
No, people do
that.
Well,
yeah, because people are stupid. And all of the Halloween animals... You notice that all the Halloween animals are like predator animals?
Are the ones I love, though.
Well, there's that, but they're like, what? Spiders, snake, bat, like, cat. But, like, they all eat things that spread the plague. Things that, like, shit in your grain silos and put, like, the rodents, which are, yes, rats are cuddly, like, pet rats are great. They're a sad pet because they live for, like, a year and they die miserably, as an ex of mine discovered, as well as our friends David and Cora, where they're like dog smart and really can be really friendly if you teach them to be and socialize them, and then they just die horribly slowly, like an elderly relative, like after like a year and a half, 2 years if you're lucky. And so it's like,
I'm gonna Google what's up.
They're kind of like but yeah, and rats are maybe a Halloween animal too, but they're like, bats eat yucky bugs. Spiders eat other yucky bugs. They are yucky bugs themselves, and I kind of don't love them in the house, but outside I leave them alone because, we have a deal. They eat the icky bugs. That's fine. Snakes definitely eat things, though, that cause, like, that spread the plague.
The longest living
snakes are our friends.
Pet rat in captivity lived to be 7 years old.
That is unbelievable. Is that... Oh, he's a Dumbo-eared rat. I can see from that, too.
That's just a picture. I don't know if it's, like, 100%, like, accurate.
Well, those ones do tend to live a little longer, but... Yeah, 7 years for a rat? That's like a person living to be 400 years old. Like, that's insane. 7.
Yeah.
Like 7 times, like, if you imagine they maybe live to be a year and a half, and then you take the average person, so it's like 74 or whatever.
7 years and 4 months. Guinness World Records. Let's see.
No, that rat would have been like alive long before America. If he was a person, you would have seen like he would have been able to meet Napoleon and like,
His name, the oldest rat ever was named Rodney, and he lived till he was 7 years old.
Also, it's kind of amazing that he's a he, because the boys tend to, I think, not live as long.
What the fuck? He was born in January 1983 and died on
May of 1990.
May 1990.
Yeah, he lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Had the same name as his owner, Rodney Mitchell. Old Rodney Jr. the rat. On this Halloween episode. But yeah, generally speaking, rats are great, but they're part of a group of critters that historically wreck things for human civilization, whereas cats and snakes and things tend to eat those and make things better.
Okay, another side note though. Beyond rats, the oldest rodent goes to a naked mole rat. A naked mole rat was born in 1973 and lived all the way
to 2002. So 28 years.
28 years old.
Naked mole rat. I don't know anything about them, but that's wild. I would have assumed it was like a capybara or something. As far as like a rodent.
Small.
No. I know they're not like those. What I mean is, if something was going to live that long, I would have figured it would have been like a marsupial or a capybara or something.
Something about, what is this about a porcupine?
Like, not an opossum, because they love to die.
They're so cute.
Yeah, we saw the marriage
possum. Porcupines are another
long-living
rodent, the largest rodent species. Attain a longer life.
Also a spooky Halloween animal, the porcupine.
Well,
don't poke yourself.
They'll fuck you up.
They will.
The oldest porcupine lived to be 27 years old.
That is pretty impressive.
Naked mole rat, and if you watched Kim Possible growing up, oh my god, he looks like little balls. He's really scroty.
All hairless rats and naked mole rats look like scrotums and wieners.
Aw, he's just a little wiener with teeth. That's a chubby boy.
Yeah.
This one, look at him.
He was around for, he looks like a weird mutant hippopotamus from Doom. Or something. Like, what if there was a hippopotademon in the
oh god, this would be
Doom 5?
A scary looking like zombie.
No, I know.
Which I would fucking hate. This one's doing yoga.
He's summoning the devil.
The devil.
Yeah, Alexis
I want one because he's creepy.
is afraid of zombies.
Yeah, I fucking hate
And
zombies.
also, and thereby afraid of homeless encampments, because if a zombie
Speaking of Halloween,
apocalypse started,
they're gonna start.
It would start there, and it could actually get pretty big before anyone really realized. It's like, are these people wandering around just on fentanyl, or are they like, and it's like, oh god, they're all dead, and by then there's like 1,000 of them already, and you're like, shit, I assumed we would run into like 5 or 6 and the military would kill them, and now they're everywhere.
I fucking work at a hospital in the city, and one of the ways I was taking goes to this section that kind of has been like overrun by users, and the one standing
Nice way
up,
to put it.
like walking around, like ODing and shit, and like doing the the first space.
Oh, for the John Mulaney bit, what junkies would refer to as first position.
Yeah.
So you're like standing up straight
and
like that.
You think they're like waiting for the bus, but they're 100% like talking to the devil.
Yeah. There's been more and more people
scary.
downtown that we've seen. We're like, maybe that's like a normal person, and they are in fact speaking with the devil. They're sitting there just being like, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And actually, we brought that up earlier because I'm a big fan of Doug Stanhope and everything, and he made this big point. Oh yeah, and it connected because we were watching some horrible fucking dating show, and the lady was like, if I got pregnant with a baby that was gonna be like fucked up, I'd say like let's not. And the younger
because
cool
she works with
developmentally challenged people. She's like, oh, it's depressing and draining and horrifying. And she's like, I don't know, like having kids is hard enough. I don't know if I want to do that. And he's like, we haven't. He's got the sculpted basketball guy beard.
Kid, though.
He's like, hey, no, if we trying to have a baby, you gotta have. Yeah, he's young.
He's 25.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, like watching her have to explain to him without it, because that's the other thing. When you're a reasonable person in this day and age, now you have 2 problems. A, you have to explain your position to someone else, and B, carefully not use any buzzwords that make it sound like you wouldn't love to raise a baby with a million mental problems, because then everyone's gonna get mad at you for like going, I don't think I could handle that, and you're just like, the right word for this is not retard, don't say that, and you're like, okay, sorry, but like I'm not trying to like have my soul crushed by trying to raise a kid with all these problems that lives to be 12. Like, if I could avoid that, maybe I wouldn't. He's like, that's not reasonable. And it's like...
It even got worse, though, because then she met the parents, and then he decided that was the opportune time to bring up that conversation to his parents. What the fuck?
I would have dumped his ass.
Wife,
but the point is...
That you can bring that up in front of the parents, because then they started judging her, and she's just, like, sitting there, like...
She should have got... I hope...
I would have been...
I didn't keep watching it because who cares, but like I hope she got out. But anyway,
I do too.
The thing that like the funny part though, in this I did a bit of a stand-up thing about this, and I will admit it was I do not rip other people off because I have my own stupid ideas. But there was adjacent to a Doug Stanhope thing, where he was talking about how like, oh, it's cool to raise someone with all these mental problems, but then also at 18, they're out the door. So now they're just shuffling down the street, mumbling and screaming at all the bees that are living in his beard. And the second I make eye contact with you while I'm outside trying to smoke, all those bees in your beard are now my problem, or whatever. But I extrapolated on that to like, any kid or anything. You're not having a baby, you're making a person that you're eventually going to get mad at for not trying hard enough in math class. And it's like adopting a tiger cub. Like, what happens when it gets too big to keep in the house? Oh, you're just going to let it roam the streets and attack people? Because that is what you're doing. You're like, I can't handle this kid anymore. And society wanted me to have one, so now it's society's problem. You're just making traffic. Like, that thing is going to, like, steal my car stereo. Yeah. My specific joke, I think, in the original stand-up bit was like sitting there being like, how are we going to afford diapers? And you're like, that's short-sighted. Why aren't you talking about how are we going to afford bail? Like when he gets drunk and crashes our car into a judge's house. It's like, that costs more than diapers, but for some reason you only imagine baby in diapers, Little League, And then put it out of your mind about driving cars and getting boners. We don't want to think about that. And you're like, you realize how fast that comes up? And then that's just a bump in the road until all those boners and cars are, my problem. When that thing comes into wherever I work, which luckily I do not work with the public. And actually, let's segue that into... Wait, is there more Halloween to have? No, I don't know. The point is this podcast is supposed to be motivational, which it never is. But on a secondary thing, it sort of at least follows me in the story of my complaining and bitching and everything about life.
True.
And I was yelling about how I was getting done with freelancing because it's like, I have a history of being able to just fall ass backwards into enough money to make things work and kind of swing from the trees like Tarzan and whatever. Yeah. And it's like I never got like I went to a little bit of community college like 100 years ago. So no matter what I would have studied, probably wouldn't even exist anymore. But you didn't go in like the late 90s. Like you went because you're like 28 and I'm 42. The late 90s. Yeah, you were like a little kid when I was going to college to learn how to do nothing that even exists anymore.
But I went to the same one.
Okay, but anyhow, like I love that the term the paper ceiling has been coined because it's like, yeah, you may be good at this, but I think we need to hire this 19-year-old whose parents put him through college because college, and then they leave after a month, and you're like, how can we not find people who are smart? Because dumb places will, ignore people like me until we fight, sneak, and sucker our way in, which I finally did. So, yeah, I might not put too fine a point on where it is just yet, just in case, but I'll just say this, is that it is somewhere where a friend of mine is also kind of a permanent contractor person, but I will be the creative director, social media design guy for sort of a really cool place that if you're in Minnesota, you've definitely heard of, especially if you're a stoner, that, makes a lot of... It's basically, they make two things, art and drugs, and... or at least are a conduit through which, the art and legal retail drugs, which, amazingly, there's a lot of now.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I wanted to bring up. But anyway, I seem to be gainfully employed now. I started on Monday, which might be today when this comes out, as the Don Draper for like kind of a cool, artistic, druggy, neat place. Where I'll be working for a while, and I'll probably start talking specifically. And I've done some work for them before as a side contractor or whatever, and it kind of turned out that I was looking for a little bit of stability because I'm sick and tired of working all night and having to drive to the middle of nowhere and do all this shit. It's like I like making music videos for both money and people I like. And by the way, if you're watching this, it still has to be both. Like, I'll do it for you if you're my friend, but I'm also going to charge you. It literally has to be money and friend. Otherwise, I'm out of the game, and I'm just making my own shit. But, I relish the idea of doing creative and somewhat problem-solving occasionally idea Mad Men marketing work for something that I believe in. And then at around 4 or 5, I'm done. And I do not give a shit about what happens until I go back in the morning when they begin paying me again for my time and brain. And so that idea, I know some people are like, isn't that how it works? I'm like, well, fine. I was in bands forever, and I was freelancing and like learning how to do all this side hustle grind shit. But for me, I didn't want to like go work at a warehouse, and I didn't want to just... I made fun of, like, I wish I had a bullshit email job where I just had to answer shit periodically and screw around all day. It's like, but I probably would have gotten bored. I do need a challenge, too. I just don't want a stupid challenge. Like, we got to get those sales numbers up. I'm like, that's not a challenge. That's bullshit. And you end up working for someone who's not qualified to manage other people. It's just that they sold the most VCRs back in the 80s, so now they're the vice president, and they don't know what they're doing. And by them, I mean their kid. And you have to listen to them. Yeah. No. Like, I like working somewhere where I had my job interview without having to turn in a resume with the owner of the entire company, and we seem to get along pretty well, and he has a lot of good ideas, so that'll be... The
universe gave you signs, though.
The universe is like, get the fuck... Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I put out a little mini podcast thing just in case you are someone who watches this and does not actually look at things on my Facebook, although I think that person maybe doesn't exist. I think it's all people that I sort of know. And as I've said, that's still impressive because you can start a podcast and still have friends and still have 0 people listening to your podcast. So, like, the fact that anyone, as I pointed out to David Murder, if you can stand me at all, you might enjoy listening to this. Now, that's a caveat.
I can stand you.
Well, there you go.
Up for it.
I know, and sometimes you listen to this podcast behind the curtain in the massage chair.
Well, and then I fell asleep behind it and wake up and you're still doing it.
Yeah, well,
it goes like, wow.
It goes for an hour.
Yeah, so that's a really good nap.
Yeah, this podcast is a good nap. That should be what it says on Google.
With yelling.
Yeah, it's a yell nap. Well, the thing is one thing I noticed about you early, even in the days of our dating, was that you could sleep through a war. And you still can. You do need a more comfortable sleeping surface. I need a comfortable sleeping surface. Actually, that sounds great.
Yeah, can you sleep me?
Yeah,
sleep me a lullaby.
Can you sleep me a service?
Can you sleep me a
But that's understandable as you grow up. But
I'm old.
Yeah, I said grow up, not grow old, which makes not you sound bad, but me.
I just jizzed all over the table.
Well, there's a lot of that. But yeah, like I noticed that like I'd have like the TV on, I'd be like working on music, and you would just be like dead asleep on the couch. Like, so you've gotten very used to sleeping during the cacophony of me yelling.
But what's the other thing that I do?
Oh, talk in your sleep?
Well,
in a way that terrifies me?
Yes.
That is talking in your sleep. That's legitimately what that phenomena is.
So my husband likes to leave me on the couch and not bring me to bed.
Well,
You want to say why?
Yeah, because I'm like, it's time for bed, and you'll 100% wake up and be like, yeah, okay, I'm coming upstairs, and you won't remember it, and you'll just lay back down. Like, that's fully the demon Alexis talking.
I've done this since I was a little kid. My mom would be like, Alexis, it's time to wake up. And I will literally talk and be like, yeah, I'm getting up, it's fine. And then she'll go, and then it wasn't me. It's like you literally have to shake me awake. I physically have to, like, eyes pop. Are my eyes open?
Oh, yeah. You're making eye contact. Like, she's just like, yeah, I'm coming right now. Like, like someone who's a little tired.
That's probably, like, my part of, like, sleepwalking. Like,
yeah, it is. That's what that is.
Who?
Yeah, what's her name? I forget.
Selena Spooky Boo.
Yeah, like the one who does all the sleepwalking videos on TikTok.
I don't have TikTok anymore, but
yeah, and then, TikTok at this point, the best stuff on TikTok goes to other platforms. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the fun thing. All other social media is a perfect filter for TikTok. If you go on TikTok, you see the things that maybe get filtered into other things, but then you also see the stuff that doesn't. So you never want to go. It's like just drinking raw unpasteurized milk. It's like, okay, like you want the stuff that's gone through everything else, and now I saw it. So her videos are on everything, but they have all kinds of, I don't know what, Reolink cameras up in their house that they set up with night vision, which is also terrifying because it makes everyone's like eyes do the like dog in a headlight glow thing.
I can't even get my eyes to do the crazy person thing.
What do you mean?
My pupils, or my iris is always touching the bottom.
Oh, the Mania thing? No, you just did it.
Did I?
Yeah, bug them out and look down.
Okay.
So, like, tip your head back and look at the thing, and then look at yourself.
I can't.
Look at your image on the thing, and bug your eyes out as much as you can with your head tipped back. See?
No, it's
like Clockwork Orange.
No, it's when you're white all around because you're
No, crazy. It's the top. The top is the thing.
You told me it's because
Nope.
You get white all around.
No, you get white across the top because you never do that normally. Like, look at how my eyes, like, always are. Like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm just kind of like, hello, blah, 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 blah. You see that, like, my lids
so you said maybe
are touching
when it's all around.
I didn't say that. I said it was across the top, which is what Dr. Drew said, which is what I was repeating. And then people remember things wrong, and that's not my fault. But
I'm looking for Mania eyes.
Yeah, no, it's the like, hey, how you doing there? That one Clockwork Orange poster where they show him in the thing, and he's like that's either meth or Mania. I don't even know what the hell you're looking at.
I'm trying to find it. It's the guy from season 2 of Love Is Blind.
Mania eyes. Oh yeah, the guy that was always actively turning into a werewolf.
Yeah.
By the way, that show we were referencing earlier with the guy who wants to like raise like a botched baby. Because it's like the right thing to do, and then to be like, tired and exhausted and feel like the world owes him being able to kick it out of the house, and then now it's our problem. Yeah, that guy. He had mania eyes. I kind of like him, though. What was his name? Bertice.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, Werewolf Man.
Oh, this one is Shane.
No, I don't like that other guy. He has no personality and is just like a weird, like, pro-life, boring, basic dude. Like, no, I don't love him. I like the guy. For one, he always wears a suit. Two, he's a werewolf. It's a lot of, like, yeah, look at that man. He's like fucking Gary Busey. Look at that guy.
See, like, the white's all around.
Yeah, well, that is in extreme cases where maybe he just has more bigger eyes or less eyelid on the bottom, but the top is the thing. Like, because nobody, like, when you're a normal person, no matter what you're doing, you're like this. Because, you know, when, like, hot chicks that are getting a little older talk to you and they're like, hi, and you're like, whoa, like, that's the mania coming out. And everyone who's watching this.
You told me, like, I can't do it unless I, like.
No, it's the top. Yeah, that. It's that.
I don't do this.
Do what? Remind me of the Babe? Yeah.
Babe with the power?
Yeah, what power?
Power of voodoo.
This is a good podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, well, for the people at home, if you're talking to somebody...
Well, you did it!
And they're like that, there's like, hey, yeah, man, I don't think, well, it's what my, old co-host looked like every time we gave him ecstasy or Adderall or whatever, or mushrooms. He looked like a horse that was spooked by a thunderstorm. But, like, the whole time, like, hey... I
fucking hated that.
Yeah, and I was like, hey.
And I just kept yelling, don't look at me!
Yeah, stop your wobby, because we were on mushrooms, too. So someone being like, how are you guys doing? Was, like, a little bit disturbing.
It was too much.
Yeah, it's always fun.
I just kept yelling, don't look at me!
Don't stop making that big face.
What's wrong with your face?
What's wrong with your face?
That's a good Figgles.
I was doing Mr. Plinkett.
I know, but it's not far from here.
Fuck B Block. Yeah, you know what? Figgles is kind of a mini Mr. Plinkett in a way.
Did I say that today where I was just like, doesn't he live on B Block?
No, yeah, because he's the white boy on 85th Street is what. And you were like, I thought he was on B Block. I'm like, no, that's when he was in jail.
I know.
We're talking about the people in his neighborhood. Figgles is the Mr. Rogers of Brooklyn Park.
I wasn't 100% being serious. But it was a good thing to say.
Well, this is the place for that.
Oh,
that was that. I breathed a little much up my nose.
Jungle boogie.
So yeah, we talked about my job. I didn't really get a whole lot into the whole, like, there's not a lot to say about my whole thing of quitting live music forever. Except for just that it's like, it's all bullshit. What are you doing? I like that.
Look at. Wait.
You're like a Russian space monkey. What is that? You're like sucking your own face off.
I do look like a monkey.
You smell like one too. You look like a monkey. You blew your own. It's like a.
This is entertainment.
Especially if you're just listening, which some people do.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you should watch this one. You get to see my beautiful wife ruin her face.
What's wrong with your face?
What's wrong with your face?
You know, if you do that, your face will get stuck like that.
Yeah, I love all of the things that came from our vaguely, though we're slightly different ages, our vague parental generation. Mm-hmm. Every piece of wisdom was to just shut you up.
Yeah.
Like if you keep making that face, it'll stick like that, because what they can't explain to you is if you keep making that face, the neighbors who I hate will judge me for being a bad parent for allowing you to make that face. And, you know, when you say it out loud, it makes you sound like a shallow dumbass. So, of course, you have to be like, you don't want your face to stay like that, do you?
And then we had people doing.
And then you're like, I want it to look like that. And then they're like, you're such a bad child. I can't believe I made you, and I'm going to throw you into the fucking world for everyone else to deal with later.
Are you okay? Do you talk about it?
No. Be a good host and don't linger. What were you about to say before that?
Yeah, people then did all these, like, challenges, like the Kylie Jenner, like, lips thingy, that they, like, fuck up their lips. Did you remember seeing that?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna find it so you can.
I was probably reading a book while people were like, "Are they eating Tide Pods?" I'm like, "Oh God." You're so above this by making fun of it, even though you're absorbing that all day by staring at your phone. Now, isn't that the nature of irony?
Oh, God. Okay. Let me show you a video. Gone wrong. Here's wrong.
I'll have to describe it to the audience.
Yep.
Ew! She has weird, fucked up lips. Don't run the sound, though. Turn that off.
Okay.
You see how you're doing good. You've almost done it. There we go. So there she is.
Hold on.
She's ugly.
I gotta find the videos. So you had to put
Ick.
Yeah, because Kylie Jenner had like makeup shit that she was selling, and they had this thing like this lip plumper to get their like lips like them.
Yeah, so they get blowjob lips.
You take if this was smaller, you basically give
it was what you were just doing.
You blow out
of your pointing to the thing.
You go like this and you go. No, this is too big. It needs to be small.
Well, fine, but
go like this, and then you suck until it sucks your lips out. But then it pumps them up, and you actually can bust your lips.
Yeah, all your corpuscles and things like. Well, yeah, no, it was a bunch of poor people
gone wrong
trying to use a medication jar to reenact $50,000 plastic surgery for free. Which guess what? Even $50,000 plastic surgery will fuck your face up forever because, they charge for it as if they've completely figured out how it works forever, which, no, they haven't.
They're just jelly that
there was a Bill Burr thing.
People have these lips.
And they're like, check it out. Yeah, and it just so it looks like you have this inflamed baboon vagina that people can stick their dick in. It's like, I want to look like that, but don't you dare comment on it in a sexual way. And then that guy did it. And he's like...
I've seen some scary ones where they bust their lip.
Yeah, it was a fun trend on the internet where people ruined their own face. Good thing all these people are already ugly, though, so that doesn't matter. And also, it's like, they probably were never going to do anything interesting, so if they end up dying, it's like, fine. It's like, yeah, we don't need you.
It's like Puffer.
Yeah, that's fun. Problem is human beings are too resilient. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, oh, it's natural selection. It's like, not one of those people are going to die. They're going to live to be 85 years old, just glumphing around from situation to situation in their life, getting in the way, merging in front of you without signaling in traffic and, just whatever. This didn't kill them. But it might make them, angry. Like, my lips are messed up, so now I have to yell at you in line at Costco. Nobody ever dies. They just stay around. And they just get more and more and more crabby because now they look all fucked up because they were stupid enough to listen to TikTok.
This one popped.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, way to fuck up your face.
You fucked up your face.
You fucked up your face. It's like a challenge.
Ow.
It's like, can you,
the same thing with
you cool enough to do something dumb?
Milk crate challenge, the whole thing. Remember the cinnamon challenge?
Oh, where everybody just threw up.
And doctors were like, well, no, that's the
No, if you ate a thing of cinnamon, you'd barf.
The problem with cinnamon, though, is when you go to breathe, it's so fine that you inhale it.
It just goes in your lungs.
Yeah, and so that's the problem is people are aspirating it and, getting really sick.
Yeah, and a lot of them were puking, which was, the fun part.
Well, that's also the, there's something about, the Sprite challenge. If you, down a Sprite, you'll, backwards vomit, barf.
Yeah.
Burp something.
I mean, well...
The milk
okay, if you drink a gallon of water as fast as you can, it's going to have medical repercussions. And water is the healthiest thing that you can drink. So as soon as you replace it with milk or Sprite or whatever, it's like, okay, imagine this is already poison and also a gallon of water would do the same thing to you.
Milk crate challenge. Because, all these challenges.
Yeah, well, the milk crate challenge was completely a thing where it was, literally impossible. I loved when I was big on TikTok for half a second, 6 months to a year ago. I had some kid, the people in the comments were just ridiculous. I knew every single one of them were 12 years old, except for the ones that agreed with me that could use words. And I'm like, okay, you're at least 20, but that's probably about as old as you might be. But someone was like, I did the milk crate challenge, for example. And I'm like, it was literally designed so it wouldn't work. You can't do it. And he's like, I guess I'm just built different. And I'm like, all right, link me to the video then. This is TikTok. And then he just didn't reply. I'm like, yeah, you people are children and I hate you.
Well, one of my jobs was working at a gas station.
Oh my God, that guy ate hard shit.
Like,
that's exciting.
Duh.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where the physics of it is you'd have to be a Shaolin monk who could already run up a waterfall to be able to do this. And of course, those guys could, but those guys do things that were otherwise impossible.
She's in heels.
Is she actually going to make it? That's amazing. I wish we could...
She made it.
Oh, she did.
In heels.
And then there's someone at a concert. I hope all those people die. God...
ICU's filling up. Half COVID patients, half milk crate challenge.
That's actually pretty funny comment.
Really funny.
Oh.
No, there's the ones that fall down and then they fall on the milk crates. And I was like, there's your busted ribs.
Oh, right. I was going to, because I was talking to someone on here who wanted an update on the HHC because I did almost a whole podcast about it while also on it. And, because we have rambled. We literally we only have 10 minutes left. It's almost been an hour.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So I did want to get that in. And
you'll get it in.
Oh yeah. But anyway, no, I would like to report that so far HHC is the best, not only of the Delta 8s and all the weird 8s, but the not so big. All of the other kind of weird, alternative, legal, bizarre Minnesota sort of cannabis-related molecules out there. I prefer it to actual weed. At least the brand Mellow Fellow that we got from Smokeless, which is a local place that has a couple of stores around town. Yeah, I don't know what my point is, but right, I got asked to sort of elaborate. And yeah, I like it. I'm going to get more, and that's going to be... HHC will be my anti-drug. It'll be... Because, her and I, got super high with that yesterday. And by the way, I should point out that it's not an edible thing. Because it feels like anything... Because even, Delta 8, I think, worked for me better than regular weed. Although it still had that potential for a little anxiety. Eating it was like a mushroom trip without the spiritualness. It was just because mushrooms, you might look in the mirror and turn into your own grandparents and see the carpet turn into weird Aztec symbols or something like that. But it holds your hand along the way and helps you understand that it all means something and it matters. Edible Delta 8 for me and for Jimmy Don and a few people I talked to was like that, but without it holding your hand. It's just I'm just seeing this and it's kind of wigging me out. So... I think an edible actual weed and I have always had a difficult relationship, so I think I just need to not even factor in the edible portion of it, and I know vaping ain't great for you. The only thing I can eat is CBD candies and things. That is fine, and that mellows me out a little bit. It's great, but yeah, HHC smoking it is literally, we were listening to Quentin Tarantino Solid Gold 70s hits and just vibing, and I wasn't hang on, though. Did I do something weird? Is it a little bit cold, black, and empty in here, and it can see through me? That whole thing of anxiety, yeah, that wasn't there. So far, HHC is just completely what weed is advertised as from things about the 70s. It's 70s weed, I guess, even though that's probably still different, because I'm sure it's stronger. But it's also legal. And again, for everyone that I didn't watch the last time I was talking about it, go look up the HHC one if you want. Episode a few episodes ago. But yeah, it has an extra carbon molecule to it. It's the difference between, it's what turns vegetable oil into margarine and what turns hemp-derived THC into HHC. It's just one extra carbon molecule. But carbon molecules do a lot. It's the difference between Adderall and actual methamphetamines and things.
Say,
it's in a...
It's the difference between meth and other meth.
Meth and kid meth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the update on that is it really works for me. The problem with that update is that, nevertheless, there's some people that real Joey Diaz Monster Energy drink weed works for perfectly when you eat 200 milligrams of it. And, they're we have a real problem in, maybe it's with all humans, our society in particular, I guess I would say, where no one believes that anyone works differently than they do. No matter what you tell them, no matter how many scientists are yeah, this isn't going to hit everyone the exact same way, everyone believes that, weed work, you're just smoking it wrong. It's it doesn't work for everyone. And I understand that, where I'm like, I like booze, but some people it just makes them tired and then hungover. Like, I get that it doesn't, and matter of fact, it doesn't even affect me the same way it did when I was younger. Like, things change. You yourself, across other people, and there's this bizarre, like, I've certainly noticed it with metabolic stuff where, I understand to a certain degree going like, let's not demonize people that are fat, but I also think it's like, look, some people have metabolisms like I do that make me fat unless I work at it. And the problem isn't, let's go, people who are 400 pounds are healthy and beautiful. No. But we should go, people who have abs just because they walk to work once a week and they still eat SpaghettiOs and drink Mountain Dew are genetic freaks who sit there going, oh, everyone's the same. So anyone that is fat must be a million times lazier than me. And that's the person we should be fighting. That's the person we should be dealing with. It's like, let's not let them control the narrative here. Sometimes it takes work.
I've never seen you, like, high like that. Remember, like, Meredith and I were literally like, whoa, like, you're high because, like, you can't do edibles at all.
No.
Like, no. It's like, hello, our airplane to getting married. Like,
yeah, when I accidentally ate an entire Delta 8 sucker that I should have just, taken licks off of, like the wise old owl. Yeah. I ate the whole thing. But yeah, it causes me to have, like, I think I'm dying. And not even, again, no one's holding your hand. Sometimes mushrooms make you feel like you're dying, and that dying's the best thing you could ever do. Like, they give you that feeling sometimes. This was all of that without that. So I'm like, do I have serotonin syndrome? Like, what's happening with me?
I think the biggest problem, though, is a lot of those are still highly unregulated. And so that's like, you don't know what you're getting with edibles. Because they go, oh, here's your edible, but they're not all the same.
That is also true. There could be all sorts of other...
You were not good with edibles in general, but even like what happened with Mom is like... you could be licking it 10, 15 times, and it's still not going to be the same each time because half of the sucker over here has all of it, and the other doesn't.
No, that's the thing. Well, except for shit that comes like from certain places, like Colorado, we did learn they have fucking hardcore standards about that. Which, by the way,
they kicked them out. The people that were faking.
Right. So anybody that so there's ways you're supposed to make edibles, right? Where you bake it into the process, so every part of it has the same amount of it infused into it as every other part of it. So if you cut it in half, each half is the same. Mm-hmm. Like, that's totally a thing. But then, California, at least a few years ago, they didn't have the same standards, and so they would just spray them with shit. So, like, one of these gummy worms has all of the THC, and one of them has none. So you're like, oh, I can eat 3 of these because that last one I had didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. But then I ate 3 of the ones that had all of it on it, and now I'm going to hell. Like, it's absolutely insane. And I want to just throw this out there for all the fucking libertarian dipshits that, may or may not be listening to this, although I can't imagine. It's like, regulation is bad. It's like, okay... I don't even have to make all the argument. It's just, so it's like, fine, go drink milk made by, like, the free market giving you the right weed stuff is like the free market giving you meat that isn't rotten. It's like, how many people are going to die before they finally stop shopping at your place? Oh, but wait, capitalism means you can just go, well, we sold that and changed the name to a different thing that isn't associated with all those people died from eating poisoned dog food. And now it's this different thing. And then, we have a new CEO, and then here you go. And it's like, oops, it starts all over again and a million more people die. Unless, of course, there's actual regulation, so it never happened in the first place. Those go against libertarian ideals, but that's okay. Those are stupid, and so are you. That's fine. But yeah, weed is like a lesser thing. But if you literally like the Wild West of the California legal weed versus Denver, at least back in the day when both of those things were newer, it was a palpable difference. Everyone in the state where it was not legal had all of our friends illegally send us stuff from Colorado and not California because you didn't want to fuck with that shit.
Regulation also is very important because, like, currently Delta 8 is getting in trouble because gas stations are selling Delta 8 to kids.
Yeah.
And so now we have kids freaking the fuck out because they're eating these things, which they shouldn't have had anyway. And now it's getting a bad name because it's not regulated, and it's just you're getting them at gas stations or, where you're not even going to a place that they card you, they know your age and shit. So we need to regulate that too.
And that is how I'll end this with something that I have talked about before, which is all drugs should be legal, but they should all be legal in the same sort of regimented, stratified way where, okay, you know how you have to like go be 21 and go to a liquor store or bar to get booze. That is a fine rule, whatever. But thinking of that rule, you don't go, yeah, but okay, how about these hallucinogenic gummy things? We can just sell at Quick Trip and we kind of like, we'll accept your older sister's ID. And then you go, no, that isn't how it works. Weed in dispensaries and things like that you also have to show your ID to get into. Maybe there's a cop there, just like, liquor stores or whatever. That's fine too. And all you have to do is extrapolate that like a little bit further out for everything else. For example, cocaine. Cocaine should be legal, but it should only be sold in liquor stores, but remember in video stores when the porno is in the room in the back? Yeah, that's the cocaine room. And like renting a U-Haul truck, you have to be 25 to get in there. So first you have to get in the liquor store, and then prove that you're old enough to rent ultra porn, and show that you're like, okay, you can go back into the cocaine room, and it really filters everyone out. That's the only way to get that.
I'm too young for porn rooms.
Yeah,
Blockbuster was on its like way out slowly.
No, yeah. Again, our
rip Blockbuster.
Our 28 to 42 age difference does change a few things a little bit.
Like, cartoons, and you're over there like going in the porn room, and I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna marry that baby.
But as smart people know that the cartoon and the porno in the anime section back in the day were one and the same.
I was gonna say,
but no one could read Japanese, and neither could I. But I recognized boobies when I saw them.
Or tentacles.
Yeah, and that was your thing. So, the Fisherman's Wife and the Fisherman's Wife 2, the retentacling.
Oh my god. What can I say?
You're like my Dr. Krieger anime hologram. But yeah, hallucinogens should only be given to you by a shaman, and perhaps heroin is prescription only, except maybe it is prescribed in that way that weed was in California 10 years ago, where it's like, my back hurts a little bit, and like, I understand, here you go. But you have to you can't just go through it. Maybe you have to be 30 before you get to buy heroin, and you can only smoke it. If you want injectable heroin, you have to be 45 or older. And you really have to convince your doctor that you're on your way out. And that's fine. But no, that's what I'm saying. Like, all drugs should be legal. It would fix crime. Because here's where we go. Everything's regulated.
That's a whole new podcast.
All drugs are legal. But then, you're like, yeah, but kids are still gonna, it's like, oh, no. Yeah, the punishment for Grand Theft Auto is fucking death. The punishment for a drive-by shooting is death. But then all drugs are legal. And then go like, okay, what are you gonna make a rap album about now? Yeah, that's what I thought. Have fun going to work. Anyway, that's what...
Scissorup. When you taught me that word.
What?
Scissorup.
Yeah, scissorup, which again will be dispensed by a proper medical dispensary because it has codeine in it, which means you do need the medical heroin license, where if you go to a retired or perhaps often sued doctor, they will go, all right, well, do you have severe menstrual cramps? And I will go, yes, don't assume my gender, give me my heroin, you bitch.
The Reverend John Wheeler podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you, and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night, and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.